California's fire chief told the AP the fires are burning throughout an 8-county swath of Northern California, including Napa, Sonoma and Yuba counties. Gov. Jerry Brown has declared a state of emergency in Napa, Sonoma and Yuba. Smoke from the fires drifted into the Bay Area, into San Francisco, which is 60 miles south of the fires and as far south as San Jose, the LA Times reports. It was an inferno like you've never seen before, Marianne Williams told the AP. Trees were on fire like torches. Per the LA Times, at least 300 firefighters are battling the blazes, which are burning with winds up to 70 miles per hour. 45,000 people are without power and/or cell service in Napa and Sonoma counties. 3 evacuation centers in Napa are almost at capacity. From the scene, a firefighter monitors a house burning in Santa Rosa, California. Photo Jeff Chu. AP. For context, stocks in 14 out of 29 companies in the S&P 500 retailing industry group have fallen in value this year, a time when more than 70% of stocks in the S&P 500 overall have risen in value, according to SP Capital IQ. Investors fear these companies' inability to raise prices without also losing market share to the likes of Amazon. CNN reports that Google will join Facebook and Twitter in testifying before the House and Senate Intelligence Committees at hearings on Russian election interference. A Google spokesperson declined to confirm the report. Why it matters: more information is coming out about Russian ads on Google products as the company conducts an internal investigation on an issue that has already become a major challenge for rival Facebook. Go Deeper news broke earlier today that Google had found ads from Russian actors on its services. More from Ivana's interview on her relationship with the president. I have the direct number to White House, but I don't really want to call him there because Melania is there and I don't really want to cause any kind of jealousy or something like that. On Don Jr.'s place in the Russia probe, I know that he was not involved at all in any wrongdoing. On Trump's decision to end DACA, I really don't know. I would not send away probably thousands and thousands of kids, which were born here. Details of the email. Natalia Veselnitskaya, the Russian lawyer, sent the note to Rob Goldstone, a music publicist who helped arrange the Trump Tower meeting, asking if she could bring a lobbyist and trusted associate, Rinat Akhmetshan, who is working to advance these issues with several congressmen, she wrote. He has invaluable knowledge about the positions held by the members of the Foreign Relations Committee that will be important to our discussion. At the time, Veselnitskaya was preparing to testify before the Foreign Relations Committee about the Magnitsky Act, which she has been working to overturn. It was Goldstone who contacted Trump Jr. about the meeting, and said it would include dirt on Clinton. Go deeper: entangling the web of Trump Jr.'s Russia meeting. What to know about the Trump Jr. email saga. Methodology: CBS and YouGov surveyed 1,335 adults between September 26 and 28. What are inversions when a U.S.-based company merges with an overseas company in order to relocate its headquarters for tax purposes? One of the most notable attempts was Pfizer trying to merge with Ireland-based Allergan, even though both company CEOs work out of New York, which prompted Treasury rules discouraging such behavior. Statement: Treasury believes that proposing to revoke the existing distribution regulations before the enactment of fundamental tax reform could make existing problems worse. If legislation does not entirely eliminate the need for the distribution regulations, Treasury will reassess the distribution rules, and Treasury and the IRS may then propose more streamlined and targeted regulations. But, if you were among those optimistic that the GOP tax plan would become law in 2017, this past weekend's insult-a-thon between President Trump and Sen. Bob Corker should give you serious pause. Welcome to the tax plan skeptics party. We've got plenty of punch. Plus, given that Treasury has not filed notice to appeal the Texas court ruling, it is unclear why a company would necessarily need to abide by the rule in the interim. More: the inversion note was included in a 200-page report that outlines proposed financial markets reforms, including ones that would roll back pieces of Dodd-Frank, including cuts to Volcker rule implementation and expand the Jobs Act of 2012 to encourage more IPOs, including by loosening the definition of emerging growth company. Bill O'Reilly. After Bill O'Reilly left Fox News, SNL dedicated a skit mimicking the O'Reilly factor and mocking his sexual advances toward women. Weinstein. SNL had written Weinstein-related jokes for their performance, but didn't end up doing them, the New York Times reported. A person familiar with SNL's decision to scratch their Weinstein segment told the Times that Lorne Michaels was afraid it was a NYC media story, and would not be as familiar to a national audience. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. O'Reilly. Today, Fox News announced that Bill O'Reilly has been fired after his sexual harassment scandal. Experts say that it's not likely that any self-respecting network will hire him. Then CNN said, "Welcome aboard. Get this, I saw that earlier today Orly actually met with Pope Francis at the Vatican. When he saw Orly go into confession, the next guy in line said, 'You know what, he'll come back tomorrow.'" Weinstein Cricket's Jimmy Kimmel Live. Orly. Jimmy Kimmel's show also led his show with the news of Orly being fired. What did Bill Orly do today while this was all going on? He met the Pope. For real, he went to the Vatican and waiting in the VIP long to meet the Pope. Anyways, Fox News decided to extend Bill's vacation to forever. I tell you, of all the jobs President Trump promised to create, you wouldn't think Bill O'Reilly's would be one, but it is. He then revealed his own replacement show, The Guillermo Factor. Weinstein Cricket's on air. Kimmel tweeted in response to a question from Donald Trump Jr. asking for comment on the Weinstein story. "You mean that big story from the failing, liberal, one-sided at NY Times? I think it is disgusting." Late Night with Seth Meyers. Orly. Following the news of Bill O'Reilly's millions of dollars of settlements, Seth Meyers used his show to criticize Bill O'Reilly and Fox News' relationship with President Trump. If it seemed outrageous to you at the time that Orly would dismiss Trump's apparent sexual assault confession as crude guy talk, it might make more sense now after the news that broke over the weekend. Weinstein Cricket's The Colbert Report. Orly. Stephen Colbert also led his show with a segment dedicated to mocking Orly and his firing from Fox News. "Over the years, I have talked one or two times about Fox News host and bold fresh piece of humanity, Bill O'Reilly. He had the #1 cable news show for 15 years, until today. Because Bill O'Reilly has been fired by Fox News, he's been a host on my show, and I take no pleasure in his downfall. I'm not going to sit here and publicly gloat. Jimmy, can you take the camera off me for a second?" Weinstein. No discussion on air. Colbert tweeted, "So far, Harvey Weinstein has checked off sex and lies, but I really don't want to see the videotape." The Late Late Show with James Corden. Orly. I hope everybody had a great day. One person who has a great day is Fox News commentator Bill O'Reilly, who has been fired from the network after years of multi-million-dollar sexual harassment settlements. I mean, Fox News had no choice to have a very strict 28 strikes and you're out policy. This is a lesson for all of us. If you behave like an animal who sexually harasses women, you can't host a talk show. You can be president, but you can't host a talk show. Weinstein Cricket's Daily Show with Trevor Noah. Orly. Shortly after the news broke that Orly would not be returning to Fox News, Trevor Noah told a series of Orly jokes on his show, including playing an old clip of Orly throwing a fit on live TV. "We assume that they'll change the name of the show, but we also assumed Fox would have fired Orly after the third time he was accused of sexual harassment. So let's give Bill his proper due. Because you may not know this, but Bill O'Reilly was the biggest figure in the history of cable news. At one point, no one even come close, because they were afraid that he might sexually harass them." Weinstein. Trevor Noah mentioned the Weinstein scandal during his segment mocking Cam Newton for his sexist remarks toward a female reporter. "It's funny, right, cause women, they don't know the things about the look." Harvey Weinstein. John Oliver Orly. Bill O'Reilly, who scientists hypothesize is kind of a dent nebula of boner and racism, has been paying out settlements for alleged harassment for years. And the details are pretty disturbing here, with the victims claiming things like verbal abuse, lewd comments, unwanted advances and phone calls in which it sounded as if Mr. O'Reilly was masturbating. Now I hate to ask this, but what does that sound like? Weinstein. Oliver was the only late-night comedian to specifically mention and condemn Weinstein's actions. General Motors' self-driving car unit Cruise has acquired Strobe, a startup developing lidar, which is one of the main sensors used by most self-driving car systems. No financial terms were disclosed, though 11 employees from the startup will be joining GM. Why it matters. Lidar, or light detection and ranging, is commonly used to function as a car's eyes. It shoots laser beams all around and maps out the distance and shapes of the environment based on how fast the light bounces off objects. But while it's used by most self-driving car companies with some exceptions like Tesla and Comma.ai, it's still relatively expensive. According to Cruise co-founder and CEO Kyle Vogt, Strobe is able to cut the cost down by 99% because it collapses lidar down into a single chip. Several others are working to bring down the cost of lidar sensors by improving its chips.